Eden Koz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. P.S. Just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a psychological empath, meditation master, dimensional healer, all the things to help you within this ascension. To learn more about me, visit me at edenjustbe.com. And let's get this party started. Or go, hello again. Okay, and y'all know okay. Eden, Just Be spiritual boom. And I'm so excited. Again, Pia and Cullen, welcome back for the fourth time. Please tell everybody hello.
Hello, everyone. We're delighted to be with you again.
We love these conversations that we share with Eden. This is a highlight of our interviews. We do lots of interviews internationally, and we really, truly enjoy these that we participate with Eden. So thank you for inviting us back.
You're welcome. And hey, I just have to tell you guys, when I was getting ready this morning, I kept hearing that we need to do something live at some point. So I've never done a live recording before. I'm sure y'all have done live before. So just to throw that out into the universe. All right. Today, we will potentially be discussing parallel lives, marriage, because I do want to ask a question on marriage, galaxy points, Pleiadian Earth energy, number 13, and divine energy. And who knows where else our conversations will lead, ending with additional words of wisdom from Laarkmaa. And I do want to put out there that this has been recorded Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023. And even though they don't need an introduction, I'm going to do it anyway. So husband and wife, PhDs, Pia Orleane and Cullen Baird Smith, interstellar communicators, writers, visionaries, intuitive, together, as we discussed this last time, and it has to be both of them together. They bring wisdom from the stars from a group of Pleiadian light beings known as Laarkmaa. Joining their energies together, obviously, Pia and Cullen transmit inspiring and heartwarming messages of hope, love, and peace. They have dedicated their lives, okay, I want to read that again very seriously. They have dedicated their lives to bringing Laarkmaa's wisdom into the world, helping with the evolution of humanity, especially through this great awakening. And we hit on this a little bit last time. What is retirement? What is that?
Since we're not retired, I'm not sure we're qualified to answer.
And knowing that is the paradigm that we've been placed into, this mind control that you work hard, you get money, and then at the end of it all, you retire. And I'm with you guys. When you love something, you don't it's not, oh, I'm going to retire from this work so I can finally relax. I mean, this is just a passion of the heart, just an intrinsic part of me, of you. Would you guys agree to that? Or just, is there not a drive, but just a passion to do what you guys do?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Work becomes play.
Yeah. I think when people are truly doing what they want to do or they're destined to do, I think it changes, as Pia just suggested, from work to play. I think once we master what we're doing, it's no longer work. It is play.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people work just to work and do not like their jobs. I've never, even when I was in advertising initially, I loved it. And there was a job getting there that was not in my heart. And the whole time I was just like, I've got to get to something else that I really enjoy. So I couldn't imagine just being in a job just to make money. I've done that once for a small period of time, yet to have your heart fulfilled and just, and that's what life is about, having your heart fulfilled. And when you do that, you help other people with their hearts. Would y'all tag on to that or anything to say?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think when you initially asked, what is retirement? I think we can never truly retire. I think it's a little bit like we never stop learning. We have to continue to learn as we develop. And I think the idea of just stopping and retiring doesn't really work. I think a better way of understanding it or saying it is maybe we will change what we're doing, but we won't stop doing something. And what Pia and I have been involved with for these past couple of decades has certainly changed over the years. We're doing the same thing, but it's different than it was in the beginning, if that makes sense.
And
Yes.
sometimes we consciously make changes in how we're going to do it. And sometimes the Pleiadians announce to the world, Pia and Cullen will now be doing this. And we go, we will?
They have absolutely, truly, I don't know if embarrassment is the right word. I think they have astonished us in public sometimes by saying, as Pia just said, Pia and Cullen will be doing this now to help humanity. And we're looking at each other wide eyed. We never discussed this.
Oh my gosh.
How is it that you're telling the public we're going to be doing a new part of what we do with you? And they just say, well, it's a developmental change.
And it always works. And it's
I was going to ask that.
It's always fun. It's just a little startling.
Yeah.
Startling. One time, I don't know if I've told you this before, but one time they made the announcement to the public gathering that we would now be taking personal private sessions. And this was after several years of them saying, we don't do personal sessions at all.
The reason Pia is saying this is after public gatherings or at lunch breaks or dinner breaks, people would come up to us and say, I am so enthralled with Laarkmaa. Can I have a personal session? And we would say what Pia just explained. No,
right.
They don't do that. And so when they announced that they were, it was a head-turning change for us.
Right.
Anyway, always fun, and it's always developmental. Yes.
Very nice. All right. And as I told you guys before we started recording, all right, so Pia and Cullen introduced me to the Planetary Activation Organization, so Miles and Colleen, which is fascinating. And that in turn, I did a webinar with them. So I am now in this Galactic Akashic Records class. And I haven't taken a class in a very long time because nothing's struck my fancy or, or appealed to me because I've been doing this work for a while. So to find something that matches where I am, I guess, if you want to say it. And in doing this, my progression for the past year, I guess you would call it, has been opening up more to the Pleiadians, now to the Arcturians, and this galactical history that we have. And there's so much more. So I was doing a video 2 nights ago, and I started crying because I was just, and this was just temporary, and I needed to be there for a second, that the history that has been kept from us, it was saddening. It was mind-blowing. But also knowing that we come onto this earth to reawaken. I know the whole process, yet it was for a moment just hard. And knowing that so many people wouldn't be open to it. What comments would you guys give about that?
Well, I would say if you're following your heart, you're doing the right thing. And it doesn't really matter whether somebody else is open to it or not. You're doing it for you. So if you're doing it for you, it's the right thing.
And I would say, absolutely, seriously, we have been kept from real historical information. There's no doubt that controlling factors have been at work for generations. This has been going on for a very, very long time. I have a personal theory. I mean, I'm filled with theories, and sometimes I share them and maybe sometimes I shouldn't, but
Share, please.
I do. And I think we've been under a spell for about 10,000 years. My background is in anthropology and archaeology. That was my university training. Before our Pleiadian friends came to us, I was doing that professional career. And so I studied and studied and studied and looked into, well, what has life been like on Earth all these years, all these epochs and all these eras. And I came to understand that things didn't really fit together, because every few years there would be a new philosophy or a new theory in anthropology or archaeology, which totally wiped out what I had been taught, let's say 50 years ago when I was a university student. And so I really began to understand that things have been rewritten, reformulated, and redone for a very, very long time. And I put this together in my theory way that when the patriarchy really challenged the matriarchy and said, look, you ladies don't really know what you're doing and we're going to take over. I believe that happened actually about 10,000 years ago. And I think we've been under a spell of not very good male dominance for too long, very long time. And so I'm a true believer that things were really different in earlier times, and we were living a much different life, connected with the divine feminine and connected with nature, as we are not today.
I have felt over the past 2 weeks, excuse me for a second, that so I do spiritual work with these folks on Sunday. And 2 weeks ago, my meditation was completely different. So it feels like there has been some sort of amazing shift. Where would you guys state in terms of the Great Awakening, knowing that, this is a process? Would y'all say there's been some really good energy, or because it was, my meditation was very different than it's ever been in the past, and my life also has been changed. And of course, I'm really open to things too. Yet it's so fast right now. What would y'all tag on to any of that? Would you agree, or what do you think?
Well, the first thing I'd say about that is Laarkmaa's been telling us for a while that time is an illusion.
Yes.
And we're moving into liquid time, which is being more in the flow and recognizing that everything flows from one moment to the next to the next. So your comment that everything is accelerating is absolutely in harmony with what we're experiencing. In fact, oftentimes we will do something in the morning and by afternoon, we'll be talking about it as if it was yesterday, because it feels like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It's so far away from the present moment that it's just not the same as a day used to be. So I think that's one thing to notice about it. In terms of shift, what would you add about the shift that's going on?
Well, we're experiencing, and when I say we, I mean all of us potentially, we're experiencing energy that's never been available to humanity before. We have actually made leaps and changes that our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents couldn't possibly have understood or experienced. We are now living in a world that is so different, that is so filled with possibilities, with potentialities that have never been available to us before. We're living a new paradigm of not only cosmic understanding, but energetic possibilities, I guess is the best way I can describe it. And so I think we're at that point where we've made a shift and we are involved in shifting in ways that we would have never imagined. I think we're in a completely new era of conscious understanding and conscious evolution.
Tomorrow, we begin a 13-day period that is governed by or overlighted by the energy of transcending. And what that means to me, transcending is not just getting over something that you don't like. Transcending means really being willing to walk away from the patterns that are falling away anyway, as the structures change, as our consciousness evolves, as all the things that we're experiencing are happening.
Mhm.
Transcending means creating something new that transcends and is better than what we were experiencing before. So I'm very excited to step into whatever these energies are that begin at sunset tonight and then
Ooh.
start the 13-day period after that. Tomorrow's the first full day in that energy.
Okay, so that starts tomorrow. This will be made live next Wednesday, so we'll still be in the midst of that. Pia, this would be a great time to talk about the number 13. Would you mind stating a little bit about that?
I'm going to ask Cullen to start with the male perspective of
Ooh,
13.
okay.
He has some really good viewpoints.
Gee, thanks for handing that over to me. 13 has historically been a negative number. People have said 13 is unlucky. People have said don't consider 13 is an energy that you want to deal with. And here, once again, we're talking about the male dominant, how can I say this politely?
Overriding,
over controlling, over dominating. The patriarchy has simply said as out loud as possible, 13 is not a good thing.
but what do you call the Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th has been and was known as Lucky Women's Day.
Yeah, that's the male perspective I wanted him to add, because he's always brought that viewpoint in that it's not a negative, unlucky, bad luck day. It is actually an auspicious day that was held in great sacredness by women for a very long time. To take the energy of 13 to another level, 13 is about integration. In the Pleiadian Earth energy system, we begin with 1, which is initiation, and we end on 13, which we complete everything and we integrate it. Because in the Western astrology, Vedic astrology, all other astrology systems, we go from 1 to 12 and start over immediately. There's no place for integrating our experience.
There's no pause. It's just if you learn something, you just jump to whatever the next thing is without pausing long enough to integrate it.
And the loss of the energy of 13 has impacted us culturally in ways that we don't even know. Look around and just notice how many people are already ready to get on to the next thing before they finish what they're doing. Always in a rush, always in a hurry, always tired and don't have enough time. And the reason for that is we have done without that pause point for a long, long time. We have had it culturally removed from our societies and looked down upon if we want to retreat and integrate. So 13 is an actually really, really wonderful day to integrate. What have you accomplished in the days before this day? What has gone on in this cycle that you can carry forward and do now in a higher and better way? What is it that you have learned? So we need that 13 energy to integrate our experience so that we can make conscious steps to move forward.
Just that reflection point, that moment of taking also a break to assimilate.
Yes.
And we're also not taught in our world, we're go, 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 compete, drive, drive, drive. 13. All right. Pia, you had talked about the last time wanting to discuss parallel lives today. Are you still thinking that or feeling that?
I'm always up for talking about parallel lives. That's something that's a living topic for Cullen and me, because we have actual, people would call it past life memory, but it's not the past. They are parallel. In the Pleiadian view, since time does not exist, what people commonly refer to as past lives is just their perspective of another aspect of themselves in another dimension that's happening simultaneously. We have conscious memory, if you want to call it memory, awareness, if you want to be in the current paradigm. We have awareness of our parallel lives. We know what our gifts are. We know what the challenges are. We know what we've come here to integrate. We know where we're going next if we choose to. We know who we will be if we choose to. And because this is a planet of choice, we do get to choose. I mean, we see where these choices we're making now will potentially lead us next. And yet it always remains a choice if we want to do that or not.
Before Pia and I met, each of us had the realization of parallel lives. We had, as she said, memories or deja vu like sensibilities about who we had been or who we are in another realm, in another dimension. However, when we got together and started our lives together, it accelerated. You talked a moment ago, Eden, about things accelerating and things speeding up and changing in our awareness, in our consciousness. When Pia and I got together, we really began to understand the whole picture of who we had been or who we are elsewhere. And we just had these immediate recollections that were just coming, cascading in our lives. It was incredible until the point where I guess we decided, we figured it all out. We know all of the dimensions, all of the realms. And as Pia just said, where we've been and where we're going.
So we know in this life that we are in at this moment, if something triggers us, we know that the trigger has to do with an integration point from other lifetimes where something may not be resolved. And it makes it really easy to deal with the trigger, because most people, when they get triggered by something, either want to blame somebody else or yell and scream or cry. They don't really think about, what could this be showing me? What needs to be integrated from parallel dimensions that I may not be using my gifts to deal with properly? We look at it a little differently from everybody else.
What's the deeper meaning?
Yeah.
What is the deeper understanding of why am I having a reaction? I mean, we could use emotions as the jumping off point here in terminology. Why am I having a giant emotional reaction to something when it shouldn't be occurring like that?
It's so okay. Well, it's just so interesting. A dear friend of mine who's a client, she listened to these, so she'll probably appreciate being brought up. She just had an extreme reaction to something. It did trigger her, but she was just like, I don't understand. And I'm like, oh my gosh, suddenly I'm seeing all these parallel lives that contribute to this, which completely makes sense. And then we're talking about this today. So please continue.
Well, one thing that has made it really interesting for Cullen and me and made it go more deeply is the fact that in these personalities as Cullen and Pia, in this dimension, we couldn't be more opposite. We are absolutely opposite. Cullen will start to do something and I'll look at him like, that's not the way I do it. Or I'll start to do something and he'll go, Pia, why are you doing it like that? Because we approach everything from an opposite perspective. And it's almost become laughable for us now because we recognize that in that duality of that oppositeness, it gives us a broader perspective for being able to integrate all of these other dimensions where we have acted in this role, that role, the other role, and bring it together in a way that makes more functionality.
It's a perfect example of a true marriage, because duality has been completely misunderstood on this planet. People see duality as, I'm different than you are. We can't possibly understand each other.
Right.
I don't like the way you do things. Duality always has a negative spin in human interaction. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but it really does. What Pia and I have come to understand is that the function of duality is to bring different aspects or different perspectives together and create a better whole. Instead of saying my way is better than yours, it's a way of saying, oh, I get it. If I combine my way with your way, we're going to come up with a third way which is better than your way or my way. And it's going to be filled with magic, flow, better communication, all kinds of things that will enhance any relationship, whether it's a marriage or any relationship. Duality can be used in a way to unify everything. And it was one of those situations where the light bulb was so big above our heads that the brightness of this understanding was incredible for us.
And we are utilizing that every day, and it makes our lives richer.
Well, and there's been a point also in terms of that, division is being put out there in charge to keep us separate. You're black, you're white, you're a woman, you're a man, and everybody, or not everybody, a lot of people are buying into it, where just like you said, if we all saw the beauty in it, because we are all one, it's just, we'll get through it. Let me
Into that spectrum, Eden.
say it again.
The other end of that spectrum,
Yes.
of the complete duality and the separateness, is people are forgetting their individual gifts. And they're going, I don't want to be defined as a man or a woman or a girl or a boy. I don't want to have that distinction. But in doing that, they are letting go of their gifts of who they are.
That makes sense
It's
too.
not really a true point of being able to claim the totality of who they are.
Mhm.
We're still working that out as a species, how to move into unity, androgyny, all of that stuff. We're still working it out.
Okay, how do y'all think we're doing?
Not very well.
Not too well at the moment.
Well, hopefully we'll do better when people listen to this. And I want to bring in as talking about marriage as well. So on my last podcast, my guest talked about secular marriage, divine union. So yeah, what do y'all think about the classic marriage in Western society? Let's go into that just a little bit.
I have to
Hand it to you.
laugh because when Cullen and I got together, the very first thing he said to me when we first joined our lives together was, I want you to know that I don't believe in marriage. And I looked at him and said, neither do I.
And then y'all got married?
Well, what happened was we had a spiritual ceremony to have our own wedding, and we had a certificate, and we moved to another country that we had to have a marriage license because of the rules of the church. And we showed them our license and they didn't like it. So we had to go through an official wedding ceremony in this country to get them to approve of our being together. We just laugh at that kind of thing because union is about two hearts joining together, and no church or state can dictate that that's the way that you're going to be joined. It comes from the heart, not from the state, not from the church.
It's a spiritual divine connection. It's a deeply understood heart connection. It has nothing to do with social rules or social mores or morality or anything. It's simply, if you really connect with someone heart to heart, that is your marriage. It's not about a piece of paper. It's not about a ceremony. It's truly about connection.
And when Cullen said, I want us to be spiritually wed, there was just an absolute yes. That's exactly what I want too. And that's what we did. And although we are under certain governing things that have been pushed into a laughable situation for us at this point, I don't encourage people to get married because the church or state tell them to if they can avoid it. Get married because your hearts want to be joined, because you want to be spiritually wed, because you want divine union, because you want to grow together. Marriage or union, however you look at it, it can be just a partnership where you just do your own thing and you go into a steady pattern for holding space, or it can be a real work of integrating as you grow. And I'm in favor of people making a conscious choice to be together because they want to grow. One thing that we do is we choose each other over and over and over again. We have an anniversary every month. We don't do it once a year. We choose each other over and over again because we're constantly growing. We're not locked in.
I think using the word growth is a really, really good term here. I think any marriage has to have the element of growth in it. If it doesn't have the element of growth, how can the two people, as they live together, age together, live together, work together, if they're not growing together, it's really not a true divine union. It's as Pia said, it can be two people living together, but living pretty separate lives, but not really connecting in a way that's meaningful, that's truly connective. So I think if someone would ask, what is marriage? I think the first word that would come out would be growth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do y'all feel? Let me see how to structure this question. In terms of growth, being connected with someone divinely, but then after, say, 3 years, it's time to end it. In terms of, in terms of loyalty, in terms of connection, again, with a secular marriage, it's like you're going to be married death till you part. You know, it doesn't matter if you grow apart. What if someone gets into a union and then after a couple years, it's done and it's time to move on? Would y'all feel cool with that? What would you say to that? I don't know if I phrase that.
You used a key word there. You said, what about loyalty?
Yes.
Our
Loyalty
perspective
to yourself.
from what Laarkmaa has shared with us over the years, and we totally agree with that. The highest loyalty is loyalty to the truth. And if the truth is that the marriage has served its purpose, then that's where your loyalty lies, not in loyalty to a vow that you made 3 years ago or however long ago. You've changed, the other person has changed. Loyalty needs to be to loyalty to the truth. That's one reason Cullen and I choose each other again over and over.
Right.
Because any couple can reach the point where we've served our karmic purpose, we're growing in different directions, whatever. And if you choose each other continually, your loyalty is always right there to the heart and to the marriage.
We wrote an article together a few months ago that was called Reviewing and Rewriting Our Contracts. And we meant by that all contracts. We meant by that, what is our mission here on Earth? When in the netherworld we decided to come here and as you said earlier, reawaken who we are, that was a different energy. That was a different, I'm going to use the word time, even though I don't mean it, but I'm going to use it. That was a different time. We were a different energy when we decided, we're going to come to Earth and we're going to do whatever we're going to do. Well, here we are. And guess what? Things have changed on Earth. Earth isn't like it was when we decided to jump in and be born and start our new mission. We extended that to everything. And marriage contracts would be part of that in this discussion. We think because things have changed so dramatically, as we've been talking today together, things are changing so dramatically, so quickly, we can't simply agree to do the things that we said we would do because they don't work any longer. They're not in the energy of how they were formed originally. Do you want to talk about this?
Yes, there should be no judgment about the decision that the contract is null and void. The contract has served its purpose. The biggest mistake we make is placing a societal judgment on what people need to do. I think that's one reason why the divorce rate is so high, is because people have this false illusion that it's supposed to be something that it's not. It's supposed to be, as Cullen said, a contract for growth. And when that growth is ended, you have a new contract to write.
When people, to answer your question more thoroughly, when people come to a point, a roadblock or a change in their relationship, whether they're married or not, in an intimate relationship, in our understanding of how we view people and society, it could be more harmful to stay together, not wanting to be together, but staying together because of a vow that said, until death do us part,
Right.
or whatever else someone's wedding vows may have been. People may end up harming each other by staying together rather than saying, look, I learned what I needed to learn. Thank you so much for helping me grow to this point. However, I have learned what I've needed to learn in this relationship. I hope you have learned what you've needed to learn. And it's time for us to widen our perspective and simply do something else. There's nothing wrong with coming to that stage of understanding, which could open up the world for each person who isn't doing well in a given relationship.
And one thing that I hear all the time, and have since I was a practicing psychologist, is people who will come in saying, I want to be out of this marriage, but I'm financially locked into it. Finances should never enter the picture of whether you stay or whether you go, because that's a controlling issue, and it doesn't give you either your responsibility or your freedom if you allow that to govern your decision. So look at the logistics of what needs to happen for you to be free, to follow your heart's guidance, and to be able to be as loving as possible to yourself and to another human being. Don't let finances be your deciding factor.
How, with my clients right now who are going through divorce, there again is so much narcissism right now. So it's what I try and help with is that love and going from the heart, even though at times it is incredibly difficult, because some of the, and it's mostly women, are coming up with just really hard stuff to deal with. What do y'all think about that?
I think we could go back to loyalty. Who am I being loyal to in this relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Am I being loyal to myself, or am I being loyal to another person or an idealized thought of what
Yes.
this marriage should be like? I think we've lost our compass about who we need to be loyal to in the first place. And when people have difficulty in splitting up, it's not just splitting up of a marriage. It's when people change jobs. It's a scary thing when people realize that the job that they're in is not fulfilling. It could be even painful to be back in that space every day, creating that knot in the stomach because they don't belong there anymore. The loyalty factor is huge. How can I be loyal to myself? And I have something that I've written about for years. Saying no is just as divine as saying yes. It's not a selfish act. People perceive, because we've been trained societally, especially religiously, we're supposed to help everyone else first. And if we have an ounce of energy left, maybe we can be kind to ourselves. That is an absolute upside down pyramid. We need to understand that we need to be loyal to ourselves first. It's not selfish. If we're not taking care of ourselves first, we're not going to have the proper energy to take care of anybody else in an adequate or positive, fulfilling way. So I would say when a marriage, specifically what we're talking about, is taking place where the marriage is no longer working and divorce is the concluding energy, we know it's tough. We know it's challenging. We know it can be financially unbalancing, as Pia said. It can be emotionally unbalancing. However, if we stay caught in a situation that is not serving the highest good for all, and that means each partner in this marriage, it's not going to work.
And nobody ever said that change was going to be easy. nobody ever said that it wouldn't be hard, but sometimes the very best things we have to do are the hardest.
And we learn more from those experiences. People often say, oh, we learn most from our successes. I completely, enormously disagree with that.
Right.
I think we learn more from our mistakes and more from what doesn't work by really looking deeply at, well, how did this happen? What really happened? How can I learn from these choices I made that didn't work out? I think that's where we grow the most.
I don't think I've even told you guys about this. Like, it's been about eight years ago now. I was quote unquote diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, had a lesion in my lung, 3 in my brain, which, all my work is about the brain. So it's so interesting. It was, and obviously I didn't have stage 4 because I'm, and 5% of people die within that with 5 years. It was such a wonderful experience, one of the most challenging experiences, because it was basically 2 years of healing. And I had, I had the studio and all of that, and all that needed to go away because it became very clear to me that I was putting too much energy in the studio and rent and other people that worked for me, that I needed to bring it back to myself and just be with it. So it was very, and I had a near-death experience, very challenging. That was one of those moments that really changed so much for me, and being grateful even when I was in it at the most challenging times, because I had done all this work leading up to it. Parts of that were easy. And a lot of people would go, Eden, why aren't you mad at this? Or how can you? I'm like, that's okay. Try attempting to be neutral and to see and to have the gratitude. And it did so many things for me. And again, that moment was priceless. So I completely agree. Okay. In terms of, since we have both of you guys together, the divine feminine and divine masculine, speak on that, if you would, for just a moment, especially with where we are right now and how important the harmonies of those are now.
Well, we both have the divine feminine. We have both the divine feminine and the divine masculine within each of us. And yet our culture has separated us into, you're a woman and you're a man, or you're a transgender person who doesn't claim either. And that either polarity of that takes us away from the point of integration of androgyny. We're moving towards an androgynous marriage of the parts of ourselves that have been split and separated.
The only way truly that the world is going to work in a much more harmonious way is to understand that we are androgynous. We of course choose a gender. We are male or female until very recently, when things have apparently changed in society. But normally, I would say, we choose a gender. But that doesn't mean that we are only, as Pia just said, feminine or masculine. There has to be a marriage inside each one of us of a balance between male and female. We all have the gifts and talents of both masculine and feminine. Some are recessive, some are not. But if we work towards enabling ourselves to come from the point of view or the perspective that we have all of those gifts and talents, we become a more whole person. Here's an example of how society throws a monkey wrench into things. It has been said that intuition is only a feminine attribute. And I can raise my hand and say, I am a male. I've been a male here the whole time I've been on Earth this time. I have an extremely, extremely active, accurate, and very fulfilling intuitive ability. I'm not a woman this time. I chose not to be. But my intuition is just as strong as any woman I know. And frankly, my intuition is stronger than many women that I know, because I have worked on balancing both my masculine and my feminine together.
This is a good point of integration, this topic also, because we have been so divided and separated in our cultures, and we think we are either a man or a woman, and we don't want to do anything that doesn't resonate with that. It probably throws people off when a woman is acting very masculine, has masculine traits show up, or a man is acting very feminine with his feminine traits showing up. And if you really want to integrate that and get to that marriage point that Cullen and I are talking about, you have to recognize there's some parallel life stuff going on here. Because I have been in the role of a man, or am the role of a man in a parallel life. Why is it showing up with dominance now in this life when I've chosen to be a woman, or vice versa for a man? It has to be looked at as a point of integration that's leading to the divine marriage that we're talking about.
We've been talking a lot about divine marriage. So in terms of two different souls coming together, in terms of you integrating fully with yourself, yummy. It is yummy. There's so much to think about within that. Like, I'm just seeing things in front of my head. Is there anything else you guys want to chat about? Because I'm thinking it's about time to go towards Laarkmaa. Yeah, do y'all agree? Or what else? What is there to chat with?
I want to say one more thing about marriage.
Please.
We have so many people that say, I want to look for my partner. That's my number one goal. I want to find my partner. The way to find your partner is to stop looking.
Right, to find it within yourself.
When you
that marriage, that divine marriage, that's what I'm doing.
Feminine within you, then all of a sudden you have something to share with another person. And until you have that, the divine union within yourself, you're only going to draw someone else to you who's broken at the same level that you're broken, searching for someone to complete you. And nobody can complete you. You're complete as you are. You just have to figure that out. That's true for all of us.
Self-love is the key to this. And it's really a shame that many people don't understand that if they don't love themselves, how are they possibly going to be whole enough to actually love another?
And it's challenging. We're taught that we're not good enough, that we're, that we have to love other people first instead of ourselves. So it shouldn't be challenging to love you, but it is. I'm going through it. It is a process, and every week much more I'm feeling the heart much more, my heart, and just it's the same thing. Like, you don't need anybody to what's the word that you use, to complete you, to make you feel better, that you can be sovereign on your own, that you can be free on your own, that you really don't need anyone else. And that's kind of like the point when someone, I imagine, just kind of shows up because you really don't need them, but you're just like, oh, what a compliment. This is great. Yeah. So I
can tell you honestly,
yes,
that's what happened to us.
I remember y'all talking about that.
We were both living alone, leading our lives, being our own best friends.
And then boom,
no expectation of ever being coupled again. And we were not looking to complete ourselves with someone else. Right. And it just happened.
So I want to finish with one final thought. Part of the reason people have such poor self-esteem and feel like they need somebody outside of themselves is the fault of the Christian church, because the Christian church misinterpreted the word sinner. Sinner does not mean you're bad, that you're unworthy, that you have to be forgiven. Sinner simply means mistake. To do a sin means I made a mistake. And what we were talking about earlier about we learn the most from our mistakes, yay that we all make mistakes. That's how we grow. So if we can lose the terminology of we're sinners, which has been stamped on us by the Christian culture, then we lose this thing about I'm not good enough. That's a real key to moving forward.
Okay. And I love how you said it, just a misinterpretation, like instead of they got it wrong. Oh my God, this is good stuff. Everyone listen to this. Oh my goodness. Okay. What a great ending. And knowing that we're going to do more, like right now we have you guys on the show every 6 weeks. I might come back to you guys later and be like, 5 or 4, because I know, Pia, you started out with, hey, we could do every month or every other month. Yeah, so delicious. All right. Are y'all ready to come together in a different
We
way?
are
All right.
already holding hands, already connected, ready for
Oh,
Laarkmaa to talk.
okay. Let's all get ready as well. All right. Whenever y'all feel it, proceed.
Just be practice.
Hello, dear ones. We are Laarkmaa, and we are here because we love you. We've enjoyed listening to your conversation very much today. And what we would like to say to you as final words to ease your hearts and to help you move into your next step of conscious evolution is that you are loved. You are love yourself. You are made of love. You are loved by the universe. And when you can stop thinking about what you should or need to do, and instead just be who you are, as you say, Eden, just be. When you can do that, your love shines across the planet and makes a difference for everyone. You've been talking about loyalty in its many different forms, and we would like to reiterate what Pia and Cullen said about loyalty. The highest form of loyalty that you can have is loyalty to the truth. To find that sense of loyalty to the truth, sometimes individuals must step out of their belief system, must face their fears, must move beyond their shadows, and must ask the question of what else is possible. Because loyalty to the truth is required to move forward as you grow and evolve. And the first step to being loyal to the truth is to determine what is the truth that lives in your heart. Each and every one of you, loved as you are, has all the patterns for your highest good mapped out in your heart. You are connected to Source. You are divinely guided, and yet you feel cut off and separated because of various contracts that you have made, choices that you feel trapped in, or things that you wish to change but have not found the courage to do so. We would say begin by sitting quietly, as we are doing now, taking in a deep breath and letting it out, and then asking yourself, what does my heart want? What makes me sing? What makes me joyful? These are questions that will lead you to where your loyalty should lie. Your loyalty should lie in things that make your heart sing and things that bring you joy. And in this vibration, you are able to be of greater service to the world. So it begins by being loyal to yourself. It begins by finding out what that looks like, what that feels like, what that means. Your culture has taught you that you must serve others first, but it is impossible to adequately serve others if you do not look at what you need and take care of your own needs moving forward. Now, we do not mean making selfish choices, but responsible choices always consider the highest good of all. But including the highest good of all must mean that you include yourself, not everybody else and then comes me. That's not balanced. So if your contracts at the moment are leading you to serve everyone else and you're left out of the mix, you're not being loyal to the truth. And therefore, you're in a place where you are not growing. We want you to be empowered, to be all that you can be. We want you to be empowered to make choices from your heart. We want you to wake up smiling every day, joyful at whatever presents itself, knowing that each challenge is an opportunity for growth. We want you to trust that the process is divinely guided by the universe, and you have 50% control over how those choices happen. The universe gives you 50% of circumstances, and you have 50% choice of how you handle those circumstances. It's a beautiful and perfect partnership, but it does require that essential element of being loyal to the truth. And you cannot be loyal to the truth if you do not know what the truth is. Truth will never be something taught to you by another, a church, a school, a government. a nation, a family, none of these organizations or groups can tell you what is true, but your heart knows what is true, and your heart knows what is best. So if you want loyalty to the truth, you have to forget about what other people have told you is necessary. You have to forget about what other people have instilled in you as beliefs or trained you to think is the right thing to do, while something else may be the wrong thing to do. In each given moment of your experience, there is an opportunity for a new beginning. There is an opportunity for continuity. There is an opportunity for an ending. You have choices in each moment, and they can only be well chosen if you are guided by your heart and you are consciously aware of being loyal to the truth. You must be, as Cullen said, inspired to say no when it is appropriate, not meanly, not with a rejecting tone, but just with compassion, saying, no, that's not appropriate for me at this time. You must be divinely inspired to say yes when you feel that it is the right thing to say, not because you should, not because someone else told you that you should, or not because you want to be loved and think that's the way to get love. Saying yes means that you are aligned with whatever that choice is going to bring you, and you trust that it's going to bring you some sort of evolutionary growth. And there is the choice of continuity. That's not just letting things go because it's too much trouble to change. The choice of continuity is, yes, this is working, and I'd like to continue to see what other forms of growth may come because this is working. It is a choice to continue the path you are on, but with an attitude of accepting difference as it arrives on your doorstep, allowing you to move into the new at any given moment. So you have three choices, and all of them require that step of being loyal to the truth. Choose no, choose yes, or choose continuity. Choose in each and every moment. Stop looking forward to plan for a future that does not exist. Stop looking back and feeling guilty for something that did not arrive. Instead, be joyful in the present moment, knowing that each choice from your heart in the now moment where you are loyal to your heart's truth leads you to a better future than you could ever envision by planning it. Our suggestion for you is to spend this time after you have listened to this, walking out in nature or being quiet someplace and going inward. Either way, listen to the sounds of nature and be quiet, or listen to the quiet and just see what you hear from the cosmos. But in that quiet space, after you have listened well, ask the question, what does my heart truly want? And how can I be loyal to that truth? Thank you for this opportunity to share a meditative experience and our suggestion for going more deeply into it individually, in your own timing, in your own space, as you feel called to do. We love you. Good always.
Hello. That was very calming. I'm going to say something that isn't really calm, but I'll move away from the mic. Yes. Okay. So beautiful. Hey, how are you guys?
Great.
We're good.
Always
Good.
great when we are on your show or when we're talking to Laarkmaa. Both
Thank
of those
you.
things bring our vibration up, and it's always good.
I was going to ask that. I just interrupted you for a minute, Cullen. When y'all are finished, is there a residual high vibration with you? Okay.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to say, Eden. We're energized when Laarkmaa speaks through us. We feel more at home, and this is important, more at home than we would if we didn't connect with them, because in a way they represent home for all of us, because where they live, who they are, is all about love, connection, harmony, magic, and when we're able to drop down into that, it's like being in a deep meditation. It's very, I don't know how to say it in another way. It's like listening to the music that we really feel comfortable with. We can lose ourselves. We can simply find a space that has nothing to do with worries or tension or any of the emotions that are hard to handle. We just feel really at home.
It's just like moving into that space of love, into that. And it feels like when I think about love, it's so vast and so huge and so comfortable. It feels like that's where you guys are. You're just being in it. And I when y'all are on the show anyway, I feel that consistently. Yet when Laarkmaa's there too, it just really shines forth. I don't want to say on a different level, but just a different vibration. How is that? Is that pretty accurate?
Yep.
I want to comment on your just be sign that's always on your show, directly behind your shoulder,
Yes.
because something has just come to me. Laarkmaa has taught us that there are 3 sounds that calm the heart. Their favorite sound is the ah sound. Want to do it with me?
Sure.
Oh, when you know we just froze in that moment. Okay, we just froze. Do y'all mind doing that again? Really wild. We froze again. We froze twice. I know. Isn't that interesting? And we haven't done it at all.
The energy, the frequency of that energy is so powerful that I don't think technological devices can actually absorb it and deal with it. I think that's why we're freezing.
Why don't we try it a third time? And if it doesn't work on the next show, ask me about the sign, what I got from the sign, because it relates to what we're talking about today. Okay. In fact, maybe I'll go a different direction and we'll try that sound in a minute. We've been talking about duality and integration and unity. And if you look at the B on B just behind you, there is a straight line that shows that we are one. And then it's divided by 2 very equal parts of duality, male and female, yes and no, doesn't matter. 2 very equal parts that are being unified by that straight line of that B. And then beside that is the E. And the E is one of the second sounds that Laarkmaa says is really good for us. And that E sound is the sound of expanding towards one another. Let's try this one and see if it'll pick up.
Okay.
E.
Made it through. And do you mind, Pia? What's the third?
Oh, we'll go to the other one beside that. There's one that elongates us this way. That is oh. Connecting us to heaven and earth. And then the one that takes us right back into our heart, and which is Laarkmaa's favorite, is the ah sound.
I think we made it through on that one. Very nice.
These tones can be used in so many different ways. They can be used as a daily practice, like a mantra. They can be used to induce calm and peace.
They can be used to connect both to the cosmos and the earth or to each other.
They're using tones is an ancient connective way of equalizing energies, of connecting energies, of expanding energies. And we know that people who tone every day, and there are many, many ways to tone other than this, but we know it's like basically the same thing as people who meditate every day. it changes their lives. It brings a different dimension, or it takes us to a different dimension by doing these kinds of activities.
And you've got the perfect reminder with your sign for all of your audience and for you all the time, right behind you.
There
Be.
you go. And y'all know that's the name of my company.
Yes,
We do.
Okay, yeah. And my mentor that I work with, she always laughs. She's like, Eden, you named your name of this because that's what you need to really work on. Isn't that so ironic? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's very ironic. Yeah. Okay, we'll be seeing you guys very soon. Knowing that it's a little after 5 o'clock today. What do y'all have planned for the rest of your day?
Dinner.
A meal. Sometimes we have to fit in a meal between what we do all day long.
Yeah.
We get up at 4 o'clock in the morning in order to be able to speak to people on different continents in different time zones. So by this time, we've already been working for over 12 hours.
So dinner, and then who knows? A walk outside, maybe something calming, something beautiful.
Reading.
Okay. Well, let me extend with that. I so appreciate you guys and everything that you do. Because that's a busy day. So thank you so much for being there for all of us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
We truly enjoy these conversations we have with you.
Thank you. I do too. All right, let's sign us off, but y'all stay for a second. Bye, everybody. So cool of you to be here. I went from being off most social media to being on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, True Social, and you might be watching this on YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute. Or you might be listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I'm on over 19 directories at this point. So connect, comment, subscribe, like. Oh, and my intention is to have a new episode out Wednesday of each week. Oh, Lordy, more to come.